Well, we have Heath Mello with us today. Heath is the president and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber and is nice enough to join us a few times a year and talk to us about economic development and Omaha's and metro area's progress from his perspective. Heath, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Trent. Glad to be with both of you.
Well, we appreciate it. And we'll have to... Looking back at what's been happening lately, we got to start in the center of the city, even though we're going to talk about a lot of different things. But the progress we've made in the urban core in the last year and the projects we have coming up in the urban core, pretty exciting right now. You could say historically unprecedented.
You know, it's always great to talk about what's happening in the urban core. And I'd say in 2024, there was a lot of positivity around some major projects I know we've talked about and highlighted in the show. The mayor's highlighted as well, some fairly big projects around housing. And I can kind of think of anything we talk a lot about. I think there was somewhere along the line, I think maybe 7 major housing projects that were announced over the past year. You total those up with some of the projects in the end of 2023 and nearly 2,500 new housing units in the urban core, which is really moving us towards that goal of wanting to add 30,000 more residents in the urban core as part of the Chamber's urban core strategic plan. And so that really is kind of in a nutshell, really exciting to see that portion of the urban core development continue to happen because we know
30,000 residents by
30,000 jobs, 30,000 residents.
By 2030.
By 2040.
2040.
Close, but we
he has bought himself 10
close,
years.
Yeah, say that's really close.
Okay.
But I think we've been very, very excited to see the economic development work that happens with business attraction, business expansion is vital, but we know you got to have the housing component as well to be able to bring the residents to the area. And this was a year that we finally saw that kind of catch fire a little bit in concert with what we saw in 2023. And so that kind of feels we've got some momentum in the housing component as well. That being said, there recently, and it really was really just this past week, there's one of the big projects that's outlined in the Chamber's urban core strategic plan is the redevelopment of the 30th and Dodge interchange. And the Chamber partnered with the Urban Land Institute, Nebraska chapter, to engage what is called a TAP, a technical assistance panel, where they bring in a variety of different experts, planners, real estate professionals, engineers, to engage with various stakeholders in the community to kind of help do a visioning process of what that kind of area could look like in terms of a major redevelopment, so to speak. And I can't share too much because it's not quite done, but I got a quick sneak peek of what that potential major redevelopment could look like. And it's really exciting, let's just say, in terms of what that one of the big moves as part of our strategic plan could ultimately look like in terms of a very exciting mixed-use development in terms of part of the urban core. And once again, when you see, I think, a variety of different stakeholders come to the table, the state, the city, the private sector, the philanthropic community, all leaning in a space where they want to see jobs and people come together in terms of trying to grow the urban core. This experience that I got a brief kind of glimpse earlier this week with the Urban Land Institute's TAP project reinforces what the momentum we're going to continue to see, I'm convinced, in the urban core moving forward.
It's always fun to see the stakeholders. I remember when Steve Martin was head of Blue Cross Blue Shield, he was in charge of bringing other insurance companies to Omaha. The Chamber's always been good about that. I think I was on the retail committee. I'm trying to remember what the name of those focus groups were.
Tags.
The TAGs, Target Advisory Group, I think. And there's a bunch of different ones, and we were tasked with donating our time, bringing in people. Just like in 2008 when I was involved in selling the Tenderheart Treasures building to the first data center, which was Yahoo, engineers and the CFO services type guys that they come in and state incentives and things like that. It was neat that people contribute their time for the betterment of their community. even if it's bringing in their competition.
You know, it's funny you say that, Trenton, because really, you know, the business attraction work that the chamber does, you know, our economic development council, you know, in the last year has really kind of started to refocus a little bit of that work and trying to engage some of the tags that we used to have, in the sense of trying to re-engage them a little bit in that work, realizing that we have some opportunities with some of these industries, industries inside the urban core, but also some industries that we feel are significant opportunities in the greater metro region. One of those major industries that we're really significantly exploring more and more now in the next 3 years is going to be the defense industry. We really feel there's a tremendous opportunity in the metro region with the significant opportunity down at Offutt Air Force Base, the tremendous investments that have been made at Stratcom, and the reinvestments that have been made at the base, in part due to the leadership of our federal delegation, particularly U.S. Senator Deb Fischer, Congressman Don Bacon, that we can bring more defense contractors to the region through an expansion of various missions and an expansion and more investment of federal funding. And so bringing in some of those defense contractors as part of a defense tag, so to speak, is something that we've been working on and exploring a little bit at the chamber, and trying to re-engage some of those strategies that the chamber has deployed in the past is something that you'll likely hear us and see talk a little bit more about in 2025 as well.
Talking with Heath Mello, President and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber. And Heath, on November 5th, the voters in the city of Omaha approved a bond issue to expand CHI Health Center Omaha, particularly the meeting space on the east side of the building. Talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on that project and what that extra meeting space could mean for collateral development in that part of downtown.
Well, there was a lot that happened on November 5th, and the one thing that probably I cared more about than anything else was the city bond issues. And I think most folks who chatted with me and chatted with folks at the chamber knew that this was something that a number of folks involved at the chamber were really engaged in, particularly through the Building Omaha's Future Committee. And when we saw that the bond issues across the spectrum passed with over 70%, it really was a great night, and particularly the CHI Health Center expansion, because we know anytime you're able to see a $200 million public-private partnership of this magnitude pass with 70% of the vote from the city of Omaha voters, where it can bring in over $1 billion of convention business, you know that you've got a city that truly embraces economic development. And I think that was something that we felt really great about. Mayor Stothert felt really great about. And I think the business and community leaders who were part of that Building Omaha's Future Committee, who were out and about talking about this, particularly Lance Fritz, who chaired the committee.
He came on here and did a great job.
He did a great job. I listened to the show. He was fabulous. I mean, folks who are out engaging the community, trying to reinforce this is something that wasn't a tax increase. We were able to do this in a very strategic way as a community, and embracing the work the philanthropic community is willing to help to put money on the table to help grow the economy as well. It really is, I think, a testament to what Omaha can do when the business community works with the city, works with the philanthropic community, to really try to ensure that Omaha is competitive in a space like this, because we knew we were falling behind. We were truly behind other communities in the convention business. I mean, that was something that Mecca and Roger Dixon were very transparent about, that we were losing business. If we didn't do this, we had a chance to lose up to $15 million a year right off the bat to other competitive cities if we did not expand the CHI Health Center convention space. And so I think, if anything, it was the one thing that probably a lot of folks pay a lot of attention to politics, and I get that. And on November 5th, that was the one thing that I was probably more proud of anything that the chamber had been able to do, working with a variety of business leaders, working in concert with community leaders, the city overall, the mayor, the council, everybody who supported this work, to really see that the convention center expansion happen. And now it's, to some extent, the project's moving full steam ahead. And I think we're excited to be able to see that economic growth come from it.
And further than that, it speaks volumes from the outside businesses that are looking to expand into Omaha. When you can tell them the success stories about how the citizens and the stakeholders, the business community, see the future of Omaha and endorse and put their money where their mouth is, that says, hey, I want to go there and I want to expand my business there as well.
It does. I mean, I think when you look at it, this was this was outside of the building of the original convention center. I mean, this was the largest bond campaign, both from an engagement perspective and a financing perspective, the city's ever seen. And to some extent, between the mayor and the business community, this was something that was really unprecedented. And I think being able to go out and see the victory that it had. I mean, the 70% was, I think we like to highlight the original convention center passed, it was a 51-49. This passed with over 70%. So, I mean, showing that the community now is embracing this to this level, and that we're able now to go out and highlight this across the country is really just, I think, another feather in the cap in terms of being able to highlight where Omaha is moving right now in terms of our economic development work and where we want to be able to grow as a region and a community.
Well, and hopefully it will lead to a third convention hotel down the road, but that's another project to work on.
Another project for another conversation.
But being good stewards of the money, what's nice about it is that Roger Dixon and everybody involved in it, the last 25 years, they've taken the money that they've been given and be good stewards of it, and that allows them to be trusted.
That was the one thing I'd say, Trent, and I did share that. Every time I could share this with anyone, Mecca turned back revenue to the city every single year, and I think that's something that taxpayers and residents of Omaha should be proud of, in the sense that this unique partnership between Mecca and the city, that they give money back every single year, which no one thought that would happen. And so when people cast that ballot for this expansion, they're casting a ballot to expand something that's generating revenue every single year back to the city, which is truly great for the city, but it's great for our economy. And I think that's from someone who thinks about economic growth and economic development every day. I think that's really, I think, the biggest win for everybody.
Well, that voice you're hearing is Heath Mello, President and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber, making his quarterly visit. And Heath, we got a very exciting thing happening in March. And that is there's a 99.99% likelihood when the U.S. Census Bureau releases its county population estimates. For the first time, the Omaha metro area will be above 1 million people. What does that mean? What does that do for us?
Well, it's been a long time coming, Jeff. I think I know you and Trenton have talked about this for a while. I know this has been talked about in the community for a while too. I mean, anytime a metro region hits that million population mark, it really separates the metro region from kind of the mid-sized cities to kind of being viewed now as kind of a major metro area. Just that million population mark really kind of puts you somewhere.
It helps with federal incentives too, I think.
You just got to let me get there, Trenton.
Okay, go ahead. I'm so excited about this, ladies and gentlemen.
So excited about this million mark.
He likes to call that either a segue or throwing you a softball.
But no, that's the biggest thing is kind of it really kind of puts you in a different echelon at the end of the day. And one, it's a branding, it's a marketing thing at the end of the day for a regional perspective. But yes, it does from a pure grants perspective, a federal funding perspective. It moves you into a different category as well. And I think that from a regional metro perspective and dealing with federal agencies, that is something that will be beneficial to us as well. I think that's something, and particularly in terms of the work we have and able to do with our federal delegation has been terrific. Congressman Bacon's been a terrific advocate for us. I think to some extent Congressman Feastra on the other side of the river and in western Iowa as well. So in that particular sense, yes, there's additional federal benefits in terms of federal funding that comes with hitting that million population mark. But I think there's something that happens just in the mental space in terms of when you think about the Omaha metro space being we're a million population mark. You then start thinking yourself as a big city or a big metro region, and big cities, big metros start doing big things and start thinking about doing bigger things. And I think that's kind of the mentality. I think I hope when that announcement comes, we start as a region start talking a little bit more and more about that. When you hit that million population mark, you start comparing yourselves more and more to other million population regions. You're not comparing yourselves to smaller Midwest cities in other Midwest areas. You are being compared to cities in metro regions that are going to be considerably larger to you because you're over 1 million in population. So in that sense, it's exciting in one way, but I also think it also puts us in a position where I would say it's also the start of probably the next chapter in some form or another, where our growth opportunities are going to continue in another way. That population growth, we hit that million mark, we can't take our eyes off the ball of wanting to continue to grow. I mean, we're going to want to continue to grow, and what's that next benchmark in terms of where we're going to need to compete in terms of population growth to compare ourselves against Kansas City, other metro regions that are over 1 million, clearly that we've got to try to get 1.5, 1.6, 1.75 in the future. But if anything, we want to bask in that announcement when it happens. I think we want to be able to kind of celebrate a little bit, take advantage of what we know will be some unique opportunities as a region.
So it's the first million that's hardest to get.
Yeah. It is the first million that's the hardest to get.
That's what Warren tells us.
Getting to 2 million, no problem.
But then I think it really is kind of a what's next at the end of the day, and where do you continue to plan and plot and move forward of how we continue to grow.
Well, may God be with us, because the Nebraska legislature is now officially in session, Heath, and we know you spent 8 years in the Nebraska legislature. But the chamber every year has obviously some special interest and important interest of what happens in the Unicam. What are the chamber executive board members and yourself hoping to get out of this year's session?
Well, Jeff, that's always a great conversation starter the first week of January, when the legislature convenes. This year it's a 90-day long legislative session. A couple things that listeners should be mindful of. The legislature starts with a little bit of hurdles that they're going to have to jump over. They're going to have to deal with a significant budget challenges that they're going to have to address by the end of the legislative session, which typically limits a little bit in terms of what they're arguably able to do in terms of taxes and spending, unfortunately. And while the chamber, we typically focus on some major priorities, tax policy, economic development, and workforce development policies are really where our key focuses are at. This year we're looking at transportation infrastructure, energy policy, regulatory issues as well. We really, I think at the end of the day, have our eyes focused on some things that we really want to be able to see happen. Want to make sure that we're going to remain competitive in terms of what's happening on the economic development landscape. I know the mayor has shared this, and I've shared it before back in 2024. Tax increment financing is a tool that we use in the metro area that really helps the Omaha region grow. And we want to make sure that the legislature does not do anything that impedes our ability to grow as a metro region. And that's one thing that the chamber will be very vigilant on, ensuring we educate our state senators and ensuring that they don't pass any legislation that limits our ability to grow through tax increment financing, because it really is a tool that provides what we believe is massive amount of return on investment to local taxpayers, and really grows our economy in a very stable, very transparent way across the metro region. We clearly, tax policy, we've advocated for years in terms of reducing the tax burden across the region. I think to some extent we know that there may be limitations of what can be done because the state's got to be able to balance their budget, but we'll be a mindful eye on that. And if anything, we just want to make sure that that we are going to continue to ensure that workforce and talent attraction is going to be a significant issue. Our chamber members, both our major employers as well as our medium and small employers, are constantly talking about the need to both upskill existing workers, but also our ability to attract new workers and new talent to the region. So we've got to ensure that state public policy is helping us do that, and that will be something the chamber is really focusing on here in the upcoming session.
Well, Heath, we appreciate you joining us on the show today, and we appreciate everything you and your team members and your board members are doing to make Metropolitan Omaha even better than it is. So thank you so much for your leadership, and thanks for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Trent. Glad to be here.
Heath Mello, President and CEO, Greater Omaha Chamber.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.